Welcome back to It Was Never a Phase Cards. My name is TJ, and in yesterday's video, we focused primarily on sealed product that was starting to see a little bit of a rebound after some of that decline that we had been going through. In this video, we're going to be focusing on some of the singles that are starting to bounce. So a lot of them falling for quite a bit now, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a rebound. And we're going to start off with the Charizard from Lost Origin, number TG03. One of the more underrated Charizards, if I'm being completely honest. Right now, we're seeing around a 25% gain just in the past month alone. This isn't a very expensive card, so this is more of a percentage move than a dollar move. Current market price is around $21 currently, although we are maybe seeing a little bit of a downturn on this card already. Lowest listeds are kind of right there in that $19 range, so just a little bit below the current market price, but still up a good little bounce. You can see on the 3-month, even with this uptick that we're seeing currently, it's still down 7%. So it was as high as around $24 back in September, and that is the 1-year high. So coming off of that 1-year high, it did drop quite a bit, but the card is still looking really good overall. You zoom out on the 1 year, 157% growth. You know, a year ago, you could have picked this card up for around $8. Definitely underrated. Next up is a sneaky card. You may have some of these, so just keep this on your radar right now. The Gengar Cosmos Holofoil from the Trick or Trade booster bundles. Right now, seeing a 211% increase. Once again, not the biggest dollar mover, more of a percentage gain, but still, these were $3 for a while, and then it looks like they hit a low of even $1.50 back here about a month ago in November, and then we saw just a recent uptick. Currently, market price of around $7, but lowest listeds on TCG Player right now are all $10 and up. So if you happen to have opened any of these and did pull the Gengar, maybe keep an eye out for some of these. May be an interesting time to sell, considering they were $1.50 back here. Now they're selling for possibly $10. We'll have to see if this price holds. Seems that maybe a little bit inflated for what this card is. For the Trick or Trade cards, you know, it is a nice looking card. This is like the one that you would want to pull. So just keep that in mind right there. Maybe if you have a few copies, maybe consider selling them. I do know that people have had success grading these as well. Just keep that in mind. I don't think it's like the biggest grading play. I think it's a little tough because I don't think the quality control was that good on the set. So anyways, interesting Gengar card, 211% upticks just in the past month on that card. Next up is the Pecharunt number 039. This is from Shrouded Fable. I believe this is a playability factor coming in with this card. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not actively playing the TCG. I still want to learn. I know I've been saying that. If you've been watching the channel for a while, I've been saying that for a long time. I still want to learn, but I just haven't been able to, you know, get myself down to my LGS and like start learning how to play. But right now, 551% growth on this card in the past 3 months. This card has been upticking since, looks like mid to late November is when it really started to move. Currently around $5, so it's not a crazy expensive card. You know, it was 80 cents back here 3 months ago. So, and lower supply, right? Only 37 copies currently available. Although right now, it looks like you can pick these up a lot cheaper. So maybe this was a little bit of a false uptick, if you will. Lowest listeds are $4 right here, and then it goes up to around $6. So I guess that is above the current market price. There's just a few listings that are a little bit lower. Once those sell out, it'll be right at $6 and above. So very interesting to see what happens with the Pecharunt. Another card that if you open to any Shrouded Fable and you don't play the TCG, maybe consider selling while the card is up. Just another possibility there. Let's see if we zoom out. Let's see, in the 6-month period, it shows the most gain, 600%. It was a 70-cent card back in June. So the Pecharunt up pretty big. Next up is Ends Reshiram. Now this card is from Journey Together. This was the box topper, the stamped promo. Seeing around a 20% bounce right now from a low of not that low. Once again, more percentage mover, $16 up to around 22 currently. It did hit as high as 26 back on November 28th, which would have been that TCG Player first day of that cashback sale or store credit sale. So around $27 that it hit right there. So it's come down a little bit off of that, but still holding up pretty good with a 20% gain. If we zoom out on the 3-month, it's still down a little bit. It was as high in October previously as around $40, so it fell down pretty hard and seeing a little bit of a bounce right now. Nice looking card. I do like the stamped versions of these cards. I think they're fun. I like the box toppers. I'm glad that they brought box toppers back. I wish they would just do it more consistently. It's like, just make it every set, but maybe not everybody enjoys them. But I think it's kind of cool that you get one guaranteed card on the booster box. I think it's a fun aspect. Next up is the Whimsicott from White Flare, number 165. This is a special illustration rare, up around almost 25% in the month. You'll notice same thing that we covered in yesterday's video with a lot of the sealed product going up. Has to do a lot with that TCG Player store credit sale. On the 28th, we saw an uptick, 44 copies of this card sold. So that's starting to fuel the uptick on a lot of things in general. I think the market was going down so much, people were really waiting for that 10% store credit, and then they went in and purchased a lot of stuff. So right now around $32. This also is a low supply card right now. Only 22 copies on TCG Player, and lowest listeds right now are around 30, 31 are the lowest listeds. And then it jumps up pretty substantially from there if we get a few more sales. So Whimsicott seeing a pretty good bounce. It's up on the 3-month actually, and down overall obviously from its like pre-release high of around $40, but starting to climb pretty close to that. $32 is the highest we've seen this card since August. So pretty decent bounce back for the Whimsicott. Another Charizard made the list. This one from Crown Zenith. This is number 020, the Radiant Charizard, up around 34% in the past month. It did peak, it looks like November 6th that peaked at around $10. It's dropped since then, but obviously still being up. Current price of around $7.87. This one has a ton of copies on the market right now, over 500 currently on TCG Player. Lowest listed pricing looks like they're right there, actually maybe above current market after this one sale right here. Looks like it'll be $8 and above for the Radiant Charizard. Another one that's maybe more on the underrated side. It's not like too crazy of a card, but it's a nice looking card. I have a few copies of this, and you know, I'm never sad to have pulled this or to have seen this. So it's a nice looking Charizard. Definitely one of the more affordable ones. Up on the 1 year even. 44%. It looks like the most growth is coming in the last 6 months alone. 117% there for the Radiant Charizard. Next up, we have something from Evolutions. This is the Mewtwo. Now, specifically for this card, this is the reverse holo foil. It's not the regular holo. And we're seeing around a 35% gain in the past month. Not a ton of sales you'll see on this card either. Looks like the most amount of sales wasn't on that TCG Player date. There was only one copy that sold then. Looks like 27 copies sold on November 8th. That helped propel this card all the way up to around $9. Not a big dollar card either. Once again, more of a percentage mover right now. Lowest listeds are $9.24 and up. So right there holding at that current market price for this card. Let's zoom out on the 1 year and see what we're kind of seeing. 38% on the year. So most of that growth pretty much coming more recently. Looks like the 1 year low on this card was around $4 back in June was the low for the Mewtwo in a reverse. The regular holofoil is not worth as much. We'll pull that up just to take a little gander here. Regular holofoil, you can see the $1, $2 pretty much. Hasn't really fluctuated too much. It's the reverse, it seems, that most people are after. Next up, this was an interesting one to see on the list. This is from Battle Styles, the gold level ball. And it was not the TCG Player sale either that started this card's run. It was between November 12th and 14th, sold 75 copies. Currently up around 67% in the past 3 months and 83% in the past month alone. So some pretty big gains on this one. Around $12, $13 currently. Lowest listeds are actually a little bit lower than that. We're seeing around $11 with shipping. So maybe seeing a tiny bit of a drop, but just kind of random to see on the list of what was moving when I was checking the list a year ago. $5.50 card. Now we're seeing over 12. So interesting one on the list. The gold level ball from Battle Styles. Not one I had on my bingo card. Next up, we have a Giratina V promo card from the Sword and Shield era. Sword and Shield number 259, up around 126% in the past 3 months. Big uptick in the beginning of November. This one, not a big dollar mover either. It's currently only around $3, but 126% gain is pretty big. So around $3 currently. Maybe if you have some copies of this, once again, it's not like you're going to make a lot of money, but pretty decent percentage gain. A year ago, this was a sub $1 card, 90 cents. So it's kind of interesting. If anybody knows why in particular this card is moving, let me know in the comments. I didn't know. I don't know why this one necessarily would be particularly moving at this point in time, but seeing some pretty big gains. And then next up, another Crown Zenith card on the list that's been moving is the Toxtricity, number GG09, up around 104% in the past 3 months, with 70% in the past month alone. Very affordable card, right around $3. So nothing too crazy. It went from $1.70 up to around $3. It did hit as high as almost $5 back in November. So it's early November. It's come down a little bit since then, but still holding up pretty good overall. 339% on the year. A year ago, this was an 80-cent card. Probably, obviously, a little bit undervalued at 80 cents. Nice looking card. Toxtricity maybe doesn't get as much popularity as maybe he deserves. I think it's kind of fun, but I think he just gets a little overshadowed by some of the other Pokemon, specifically from Crown Zenith, because Crown Zenith is such a great set. But Toxtricity, seeing some big gains recently. That is pretty much it for as far as the big gains that we've seen. I did want to talk about some stuff that has been continuing to drop. We're seeing new all-time lows for the gold Mega Lucario from Mega Evolution, just continuing to drop, from a staggering high of over $700 now to, we're looking at under 400. We're looking in the upper 300 range. Lowest listeds are around $390 currently. So just a massive, massive drop on this card. Yeah, that's crazy for whoever was buying these cards at $700. They are down huge. So this is a classic lesson of just when a new set comes out, take your time. The market has shifted and stuff. We're going back to the times where you want to wait a few months before you start picking up singles. It was obviously earlier in the year, things were a little different, right? Stuff was rising pretty rapidly after a release happened, but now we're seeing what we used to see more commonly. Big decline. So Mega Lucario gold card, which I still think, for a gold is interesting. I think this is one of those cards that it does really look much better in person. It's not my favorite era of the gold cards. I honestly think some of the more peak ones were probably the Crown Zenith gold cards. I think those were like kind of my favorites of the more recent styles, but these ones do look much better in person than online. Same thing happening with the Gardevoir. This one's much more affordable. It's been, I guess, a little bit less popular, from a high of around $615 down to under $300. We're in the $200 range now. You can see most recent sale at $298. Lowest listeds right now are $300. So some a little bit under, some right at $300. So that is a very, very massive drop for the gold Mega Gardevoir, dropping big. It hasn't just been the singles from the set. The booster boxes are hitting an all-time low right now as well, just continuing to decline. This is the enhanced booster box. Current market price of $229, which puts it at one of the lowest booster box prices currently available. It is starting to see a little bit of a rebound. You can see more recent sales a little bit higher, back up into the 230s. So it looks like it hit 229 and then it's bouncing off of that. So it's come up a little bit since then. We just haven't had enough sales to update the graph here. But yeah, currently around 237, 238. But they were as low as 229. Like I said, which is a very, very low price for the current state of the market. Still, like, obviously well over MSRP. But one of the cheaper booster boxes that you can pick up right now, still even at that 237 mark, one of the cheaper ones that you can pick up currently. So that's all I have for you guys in this market update. A little bit of stuff dropping, but a lot of stuff seeing some pretty big upturns as percentage wise, right? These aren't your big chase cards, your big dollar movers, but stuff is starting to move, and a lot of that did get kicked off by that TCG player store credit sale. So I think that was definitely playing a big factor in some of those cards getting some movement going. And we're starting to see some of that. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, make sure you go and check that out, because we were touching a little bit more on the sealed side of what stuff was starting to move. And we're seeing some indicators that we're like Destined Rivals starting to move, some Sword and Shield boxes starting to move, things looking like we may start seeing that trend back upwards now after we've been declining for quite a bit now. So we'll have to see if it holds. Maybe it's just a flash in the pan. We don't know. So make sure you stay subscribed with notifications on, because I will keep you guys updated as I do every single day. We've posted a video every single day for over a year. Also, if you want to enter the December members only giveaway, you would have to join and become a channel member. I should be announcing the full information on that later this week, soon, exactly what the giveaway is going to be. But you don't have to do anything as far as to enter. You just have to be a channel member. So it's my way of saying thank you, giving back to the channel members. We've seen a decent little uptick in channel members recently, so I wanted to do a little thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. It really means a lot. So if you want to have a chance to enter that, consider becoming a channel member. If not, no worries. But that's all I have for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.